Internet Anarchist to the video covering the whole saga with Chibi reviews. I want to talk about it because it involves my usual topic of discussion these days, fictional characters that are not real. That video was briefly deleted, but I have the original downloaded and that like to dislike ratio isn't good. Assuming that it's true, this should be fun, but don't get excited yet because while this video will mainly talk about how Internet Anarchist absolutely clowns himself, and he does, I have my own criticisms to Chibi as well. I understand that plenty of you also subscribe to him. I reach out to Chibi to tell him, hey, your Facebook link is still on your channel and it has your private information, such as your full name and where you went to high school. Maybe delete it. He responded, he's cool about it. That's fantastic, but he hasn't deleted that at the time of this video. I guess he's too jaded with people attacking him in his personal life anyway, so he just let it be there. But to anyone else listening, please check on your social media and remove any personal details that people might use against you. Miranda rights also apply to the internet. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion. And unfortunately, a lot has been used against Chibi, but rest assured, I'll be using what Internet Anarchist said against himself as well. Let's get to the video, shall we? Internet Anarchist's video on Chibi starts with talking about how Chibi is 31. He loves them young anime girls. He loves cartoon adult content, and he expressed that view many times. I love how Internet Anarchists have the same tweets on display, repeated several times to say that he's been tweeting constantly. He wasn't tweeting constantly, you're just repeating the same tweets. I want to skip on a standalone section that doesn't really need much context. This is regarding the legality of fictional young anime girls and boys, in which Internet Anarchists really doesn't do his research.
Despite what Chibi says, it is illegal in other countries like Canada and a legally grey area in the United States.
That is incorrect. Depictions of fictional characters in sexual situations are not legally grey in the US. They are legal. Full stop. See Ashcroft vs. Free Speech, Protect Act of 2003, and the First Amendment. If it is illegal, then the book It wouldn't be sold in public, because that too contains all sorts of horrific writings involving children. These smuts that women love to read would also be banned from public. And yes, it is illegal in Canada and around 40 countries, except as I mentioned in other videos, there are 190 to 195 countries around the world. So that's still about 1/5 of countries that consider sexualized fictional characters illegal. The rest of the countries only care about real children, and rightfully so. But the thing is, the countries that ban fiction also tend to ban adult content in general as well. That or they are legal, but they have several restrictions being imposed on the people that want to consume them, such as digital IDs, violating your privacy on consuming private content. The ones that don't consider problematic fictional content illegal are the US and Japan, the two biggest exporters of entertainment media. It's almost like protecting people's freedom of speech and expression will lead to a lot of creative works being published, including the ones that will make people like you grossed out, anarchists. Going ew gross is not an argument. This is clearly not the most thorough coverage on your part. Maybe next time, try doing a little more research. One segment of the Internet Anarchist Chibi Reviews video highlighted a tweet from the worst of Twitter. One of my problems with Chibi is that he acts like an anonymous anime account, but without the anonymity. He shared his own private info while saying incest in anime is based, and I am tired of pretending that it's not. Let's be real here, Chibi. You're not Joker. You never pretended to hate taboo familial relationships in anime. You just say this because you like to farm engagement. And you like to be horny on main while having your full name being shown on your bio a couple of clicks away. Seriously, please remove your Facebook link on your bio. I warned you personally already. Also, of all the incest ships, Kuze and Yuki? Really? If you want some good incest pairings, I recommend the Trail Saga. Alia Hides Her Feelings in Russian was a popular anime at the time, so this is just a trending topic tweet for engagement purposes. I also saw that he named Theorita from Sentenced to be a Hero Loli of the Season. I wish I could be this easily impressed. That or Chibi's just farming trends and engagement bait for new anime. And Chibi, you of all people do not get to judge whether someone is terminally online or not. You just cannot resist being online. Like I said, you act like an anon anime profile picture but without the anonymity. That being said, blocking, subtweeting, and getting upset over a common anime trope is also bad, so the worst of Twitter, you're a clown too. You are quite literally a gimmick account. You are about as terminally online as you can get. Lots of clowns on all sides here. Some are funnier than others. Here's one segment in Internet Anarchist's Chibi Reviews video that really highlights the stupidity on both sides of this conflict. Internet Anarchist weaponized the fact that Chibi loves the anime incest by bringing up his sister or relative. They have nothing to do with each other. One is Kuze and Yuki from Alia hides her feelings in Russian, and one is his actual siblings and relatives. That's like seeing a GTA player crashing their car and think, oh god, you have a license to drive? Most people can tell the difference between fantasy and real incest. Otherwise, there will be a spike of taboo familial relationships happening in real life. But that's not the case, despite taboo familial relationships being a very popular subgenre in anime, adult content, and even in TV shows. Internet Anarchists, consuming fictional content involving taboo familial relationships does not mean that people want to screw their real family or relatives. Familial relationships are really common in adult films, but most of them are just role-playing as relatives, not actual relatives. That'd be way more messed up, and not to mention illegal in plenty of states and even countries. On the other hand, Chibi, please do not talk about your own relatives on the same account where you talk about how incest in anime is based. Please separate your online persona with your real-life private matters. The world really doesn't need to know whether you have a sister or that her car broke down. People online really don't need to know that, and I'm glad that you at least recognize how dumb that decision is. Even if you can't time travel to not do all that, I hope everyone else can learn from all this. If you're going to act like an anonymous anime profile picture account, actually be anonymous. The Chibi video that Internet Anarchist made continues by showing a tweet where Chibi said, "The animators didn't need to go so hard for this scene," highlighting a scene from Dandadan where Momo almost got probed by the aliens. I really don't see what's so hard about that scene. It's pretty tame, actually. Okarun, cursed with Turbo Granny, comes in and saves the day with his newly acquired powers, so there's no actual probing that happens to Momo. That's pretty much it, really. I don't see what's so hard about it. This is just another installment of Chibi just being horny on main for something really freaking tame. But it's clearly not tame enough for most people, as he's getting a lot of people outraged and pissed that he would go hard on Momo being probed by aliens. Again, he's acting like an anonymous anime account, except he has no anonymity, and therefore no forms of protection from consequences. But the thing is, Internet Anarchists, Dandadan is not some horrific anime that you have to blur out like that. You can view this anime legally on any of the most popular streaming websites. I noticed that you didn't mention the names of the anime that Chibi bring up, mostly because if you did, then you would find out that none of them are illegal. And they all contain the themes that you're all making a moral outrage on. Here's another cringe move that you did, Chibi. Flexing your gun. That does not accomplish anything. In fact, it just makes you look weak and easily provoked. People have found your trigger point, no pun intended, and they are exploiting it. Here's another turbo cringe move, suing your trolls. Combined with e-begging your viewers for a lawsuit that evidently does not go anywhere, and then quietly closing the campaign after 16,000 was raised, you have elevated yourself from cringe to borderline fraud. Or at least that's what Internet Anarchist presents in this video. I honestly don't know the truth behind where the money goes. Only Chibi knows at that point. But one thing is for sure, attempting to sue your trolls and e-begging your viewers for it are two of the dumbest moves I've seen a content creator makes. Anyone else? Please do not repeat the same mistake. Oh boy, this is a big one. In his video about Chibi reviews, Internet Anarchist talks about that moment where someone invaded Chibi's brother's grave. Yeah, Chibi really shouldn't have responded to this at all. Oh yes, it is vile that someone would go to his brother's grave, assuming that it is true because the image is AI generated, which is weird because if it is AI generated, then that means this grave is not real. Does Chibi not know his own brother's grave? Either he really doesn't know, which makes him an idiot, or he does know, but he still pretends as if that really is his brother's grave, which makes him a grifter and an idiot. Either way, Chibi's reaction by calling the cops and letting people know that it happened is not the right move to make, because that just confirms to the trolls that he was bothered by their antics, and that leads to the dead brother turned to a chair meme. Internet anarchists completely weaponized this, pointing out the irony that these young anime girl lovers suddenly couldn't tell the difference between fiction and reality. Oh boy, that is a massive projection on your part, anarchists. What anarchists didn't realize is that using this irony argument will absolutely backfire on you. Reimu is a fictional character that isn't real, in a situation that isn't real. Chibi having her as his profile banner is really bizarre to bring up, anarchists. What does her have to do with anything? Momo is a fictional character that isn't real, in a situation that isn't real. Chibi goes hard on an anime scene that you all can see publicly and legally on many streaming sites, without the FBI knocking on your doors. Chibi is real. His brother was real. His grave is real. You are real. Schlep is real. By your logic, the Shota drawing of Schlep is fictional and perfectly fine. But I thought you were against that. By your logic, those lewd AI edits that people do with Grok are just fiction. They're not real people because they're AI edits, right? If someone says that they're gonna turn you into a bone chair, it's fine because that event is just fiction. It's just fantasy. That doesn't happen, right? Anarchists, this is not the irony that you think it is. Chibi definitely overreacted, but the people celebrating his dead brother being turned into a bone chair, that's not fiction. That may be a fantasy, but it involves someone who existed, and defending this is about as terrible as defending this drawing of Schlep. Chibi is the one who has a better grasp of fiction and reality, not you. Internet anarchists conclude his Chibi review video by citing Josh, aka Null, the owner of Kiwi Farms. There was a live stream where Null talked about his personal experience with 9chan, and how the people that love young anime girls are also sharing real, genuine illegal content featuring children. Or at least that's what I assume he meant. All he said on that stream was that the people who share fictional young anime girls are also the ones sharing real illegal content on B, the random board. And that's pretty much all there is to it. He just said, yeah, from my personal experience, they're all predators too. Well, from my personal experience dealing with this topic, moral guardians who preach how moral they are tend to be hiding skeletons in their closets. Anarchists, is this really all the evidence you got to prove that the people who are into young anime girls might also be actual predators in real life? You're really just gonna take the words of the Kiwi Farms owner at his face value. Allow me to present a counter-argument that I have covered in another video with actual data that you yourself can look up and verify. There are two websites that cover pro-fiction and anti-fiction people. They are both called Reset the Clock. The pro-fiction people loves young anime girls. The anti-fiction people are against them. The website documents the many instances where the two sides are being dangerous to people, or especially children. What I found, based on my criteria and categorization about 362 entries in that website, is that the anti-fiction people are twice as likely to be predators over the pro-fiction people. Twice. That's still way more data than Null said it. All I'm saying is, being moralistic on young anime girls doesn't automatically make you a moral person.
You cannot blame people for raising a few eyebrows.
Yes, I can, actually. You literally just used Null's anecdotal story. Remember that Reset the Clock list? Null is in the anti-fiction list. He was once a lover of young anime boys and also real boys. He also admitted to having real illegal content. He is not a source that you should be using as your spokesperson at all. Using him to go against young anime girls is like using EDP to go against young anime girls.
Lolicon is actually illegal in the United States.
There you have it. There's your spokesperson against Loli. He's preaching all that gospel to you, all while hunting for them cupcakes, right? Also, no, it's not illegal in the US, you vile piece of cretin. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.